Hey y'all, so welcome to another Storytime video. My hair is straight and I actually might start doing this more often. I really like how it looks. I'm just gonna have to get up that much earlier to do it. But that's not what this is about. Like I said, it's a Storytime video and this is one, this this story is about something that I often forget it even happened. I forget it was even a thing until I think about that. Something makes me think of about that job or like cleaning or whatever. So I'm going to tell you in this video, I'm going to tell you about the time that my boss was arrested on April Fool's Day. Okay, so I was living with my brother, and just to give you a backstory on the whole thing, I was living with my brother as like a live-in nanny for him after I graduated from college, and him and his wife together have 4 kids. He has 2 and she has 2. But anyway, I didn't get a whole lot. I got like $100 a week for watching their kids. Which was okay, but I needed another job and my brother pushed me to get another job. So I ended up applying and getting a job at this hotel. Well, at a Holiday Inn. I can say that. It's not saying anything about the hotel chain itself. And I was actually reluctant to do it, but housekeeping didn't sound like my idea of a good time. And that's the only thing available for like during first shift type thing. They didn't have a front desk position open at the time, and yeah, it was mainly just housekeeping during first shift, and I was only available during first shift because I watched their kids during second shift because that's what they worked at Honda. So I started there, and I kind of got used to the job. We went through a lot of people that just didn't want to work or didn't like the job for whatever reason, and the more I worked there especially and got used to it, I actually loved it. It sounds a little weird, but I loved that job. That was probably my favorite job I've ever had. And now I've been working in like daycare and nannying since, but I really liked the job. I didn't like that I didn't have weekends off because hotels are open like every single day of every single year unless they have to close for like some terrible reason or something. But I didn't like not having weekends off, and because I worked housekeeping, you don't really have, I worked technically 9 to 4, but I would always go in at 9, but depending on how many rooms we had that day, how many people would stay that night, we could get off anywhere between like 11 or 12 and like 6 o'clock in the evening, which was a little bit of a problem on its own as far as me watching the kids. But it was just very unpredictable, and I ended up getting my own apartment, so trying to live on my own and have that as my only job and not knowing when I was going to get off, and if it was nice getting off early, but I didn't get the hours, and I kind of needed the hours for the money, so that was kind of a problem. But as far as the work itself, I loved working there, and the longer I worked there, the more I got to know my boss kind of, and he was different and didn't seem super responsible about things, but he seemed very friendly to me. He was very nice. He pretty much, because I had been there over a year or whatever, pretty much, by the time I left at least it was like a year and a half or a little longer than a year and a half. I was like the most trustworthy person. I was the person that had been there the longest, that worked there, besides him and the girl that worked on the front desk, who actually started on housekeeping, but by then she was like the manager of the front desk type thing. She was like a main person. But aside from that girl, who was, I think, younger than me, a little bit younger than me, I had been there the longest. The longest definitely of all the housekeepers, and yeah, I had definitely been there the longest. So he really respected that. He offered me head of house, like the head housekeeper position a couple times, and I just didn't want to be in charge of other people. I saw how that worked out for other head housekeepers, and I didn't want to deal with, I wanted to go in and clean, and I knew that I did really well because I had been there long enough. I knew what I was supposed to do, and I did my job. Sorry, I keep shaking. I did my job the way I was supposed to do my job, and I knew what I was supposed to do. I did it. I could do it fast. I had a system, and I liked my job. So liking your job helps how well you do your job. So I was on really good terms with him because of how well I did. He was not frustrated, but he was disappointed that I didn't want the head job, but I definitely didn't. So they kept getting different people to do it, and then they'd leave, and very big turnaround for people there. I was trying to get something. I didn't want to work on the front desk, but I wanted something that was like behind the scenes, like on the counter, something that might pay more, because I needed more hours. I needed something a little more stable as far as hours, that I could count on working from this time to this time. And I wanted different jobs like that. So he had me do a couple things. He had me do he had QuickBooks. He had me put the bills or whatever in there. And a couple times he had me run out and get things for him. Often it was the things I went out and get were like for somebody's birthday or something. I would do those during like work time. He'd like call me and be like, "Hey Katie, can you go get this? Here's the card, or here's this money that you can use for this. Just go out and get this and bring it back and go back to work." And I was like, okay, sweet. I liked having a break from my normal work day, even though I liked what I did. I liked doing that. And and he'd had me go to the post office or the bank sometimes and mail stuff or put in like a bunch of money type thing into the bank. I never got any out, but he had me put money in the bank from different things and organizing other stuff, and I really liked doing that kind of thing. I really liked cleaning. I came in some nights and folded laundry, which I really liked. I really liked pretty much everything I did there. I worked breakfast some days, like a couple days a week. I did breakfast rather than doing housekeeping, and a couple days I did both. I did breakfast, came in at like 5:30 in the morning, and was there until housekeeping, whatever, like the rooms were done, a couple days because they needed people or whatever. So I did a lot there, and I got along with my boss really well. The more I did, the more I talked with him and got along with him, and learned kind of about his family, and he had some heart problems, so I kind of learned about those, and was kind of on friend terms with him. I never hung out with him outside of work, and I wouldn't want to. It just it wouldn't sound like it would be professional in my eyes. But he was a nice guy. He had a wife and kids and grandkids that lived in Pennsylvania, which is where he was from. We were in Ohio. And yeah, I got along with him really well. There were, like I said, some times where he didn't seem like he was very organized or really professional, but he never gave me any reason to, I don't know, doubt him or to be worried about him type thing. I was doing a video series for a while, and he was part of my video series. It was just like it was about asking kids questions and asking adults the same questions, and so he would answer those questions or like do those questions for my video for me to put on YouTube, and talked about me doing a YouTube video for and with the hotel, which sounded really exciting, and all that was really great. And I think I don't know what the thing was, but he was thinking about leaving or something, and I don't remember what the thing was, or maybe he was going to sell it to somebody, or somebody was going to take it over. I forget what the situation was, but whatever the case, he was possibly going to be leaving, I think. And so I had thought about going to a different hotel and working there, He was kind of going to talk to somebody that he knew at that hotel that used to work at our hotel, well, his hotel, but the one that we both worked at, and talk to this girl and see if she could get me in there and stuff. And that sounded great. I mean, I didn't really want to move, and I liked working with him. I was on good terms with him, and I had gotten to know him a little bit better and stuff, and felt comfortable with, like, it wasn't awkward talking to my boss type thing, because we had some good conversations, and, or well, not really conversations, but talked a little bit. I talked about my cat and stuff when I went in, and just kind of, I would go in and say hi to him. I'd stop by his office right by like where we clock in every morning and say hi to him and ask how he's doing and stuff. So then it came to be April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. I didn't think much of it. I kind of wondered if anything was going to happen, and he was the kind of, my boss was the kind of guy that would play tricks. Sometimes he had like these Nerf guns and he would like shoot them at us employees and stuff and drive some people crazy, and especially the girl that worked up front at the desk, he would shoot her and she would get frustrated and stuff. But it was just like joking around type stuff. So I wondered if he was going to do anything for April Fool's Day. So I was downstairs. I usually, if I worked, people knew to put me on the first floor because that's the floor I liked. That's what I was used to. I got good tips on the first floor. So, not in a creepy way, but we got tips, and I got more tips on the first floor than when I was put on the other floors, so I liked it. Anyway, so I was cleaning one of the rooms on the first floor, and another guy that worked there, he's like a maintenance / front desk person, walked by and told me that everybody was supposed to go into the breakfast room. And so I'm like, okay. And saw police people up there, and when I went like up by the front desk, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, okay, what is this guy doing? My boss. I don't want to say his name. We'll call him Tim. Okay, I was thinking, okay, what's Tim doing? What's he up to? It's April Fool's Day. He has all these cops here. I know he's friends with cops, or at least that's what he had talked about before with calling cops on past employees and stuff. That was sketchy. The people were sketcy. So I thought he had them doing some kind of thing, and I don't know what they were gonna do to us, but for the longest time I was wondering, like, as this went on and we met there and we were kind of talking, and they came in, and one of the police officers came in and said something to us, and we thought that they were, or I thought, I wasn't completely sure, but I wondered, is this an April Fool's joke? What's going on? I saw them take him outside, like hands behind his back, like handcuffed, walk him outside, and I'm like, okay, seriously, is this a joke? Is this April Fool's? Is he gonna walk in and be like, ha, just kidding? I kept wondering. So they end up going and questioning each of us, and we find out that he actually wasn't the owner. Like, he had said he was the owner and manager. He actually wasn't the owner of the hotel. He was just a manager. Just a regular manager, didn't own it at all. He had also claimed before, I guess I should have said, he claimed he had said that he owned like 12 hotels in different areas, and like pizza places and stuff. Excuse me. And he was a manager at this hotel. He didn't own the hotel. He was a manager, and he didn't own any hotels, or especially not this one. He had put people on payroll that weren't actually on the payroll and was taking the money. Like, people that had been fired, he was still putting out like paychecks, like writing paychecks and giving them to himself. And he had put his wife on payroll, and she lived in Pennsylvania. She obviously wasn't working there. She did way back when he first started, I think, but she used to be on payroll, but he wrote her as if she was on payroll and took that money. And there was just all kinds of stuff that was just crazy, and there was suspected questionable things with girls going on there, where he would go into a room and do stuff with girls, and I was just blown. I mean, some of the things it's like, oh, well, I guess that makes, some of these things make sense. He didn't seem very organized and that kind of thing. But I was just so blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, he just seems like such a nice guy. Sometimes he would go and he would like buy his pizza for lunch and stuff, which I guess that wasn't his money to be buying his pizza with. I went in for my questioning and they kind of told me some of this stuff and like some of the new information, and somebody, and like the lady was like, and I was told that you were close with him, and I was like, well, I mean, I would go in and talk to him in the morning. I would go in and say hi and tell him about my cat and stuff. I wasn't super close with him, but I was on good terms with him. And I mean, they didn't, after I was questioned, they didn't call me back in or anything after that. But after I was questioned, I was sold at that point that it was actually a thing and that he had been arrested. And I don't know, I think we ended up cleaning the rest of the rooms that day. The actual owner, who we had met a couple times before but didn't know he was the actual owner, he came and he was there the rest of the day. They ended up bringing in a manager from one of the other hotels to be there for a while and then changed to a different manager. And it was all kinds of crazy. I had texted my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time, and told him that my boss had just been arrested. And he was like, no, this is April Fool's Day. I know that this is a joke. That's a given. You didn't get me on that. And I was like, no, I swear, my boss was just arrested. This seriously just happened. And he's like, okay, well, if it's true, then tell me again tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I will. So the next day, I don't know if I'd seen him in person or not either of those days, but I told him, I was like, so it's the next day, and I'm telling you again, my boss was arrested. So it was pretty crazy. For a while, I thought it was an April Fool's joke, because he's the kind of person that would pull that kind of joke, and it was just so weird that it happened on April Fool's Day. But he was arrested. I'm not going to tell you all the information, but I was able to find him online in the jail, and like his mugshot and like the article about him, and it was just so weird because I had some good conversations with him and stuff, and it was just so crazy. So yeah. I was thinking about applying to a couple hotels here for some extra work coming up, and thinking about the fact that like I could tell them that I'd worked at a hotel before and done this and done that and stuff, but they can't exactly call my old boss because he's kind of in jail, or at least as far as I know he still is. So that's the story of the time my boss got arrested. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting / awkward day and situation. Yeah. If you have a story or a time that you had a boss arrested, or some crazy thing that happened with your boss getting in trouble or something, let me know down below, and we can have a little conversation about it or something. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. But I'll see you in my next vlog, or my next story time video, and I hope you have a great day.